Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that's always interesting to talk about, and that is who got snubbed from the Pro Bowl, who missed out on, well, there's not actually a literal game this year, who missed out on that honor of being able to call themselves a Pro Bowler for this year. There are definitely a lot of people that, talk about this and say, this guy got snubbed, no, he didn't. So we're going to kind of have that discussion here at the Touchdown Table and talk about who we think got robbed.
Yeah, but before we get into it, we're making this video a bit early because we're just doing this right after. We're going on vacation, Jordan and I are, so we're pre-recording this. So some of these guys might end up getting in due to some of the first-string Pro Bowlers, you could say, them opting out of the Pro Bowl. So they might get in, but they're snubbed from the original list of Pro Bowlers. And let's just get right into it. So I'm just gonna read a name, and then we'll kind of have open discussion about him. Then someone can read a name, and we'll have open discussion about him. We kind of started talking about this one before the video. A lot of people think Ryan Tannehill should have made the playoffs. What do you guys think? Or not the
It's called the
playoffs,
Pro
Pro
Bowl.
Bowl.
He'll probably make the playoffs.
He'll make the playoffs.
Probably.
Thought he should have made the Pro Bowl. What do you guys think about that?
Well, the thing is, yes, he's done really great this year, but if you look at the facts and you look at the people that got in the AFC over Ryan Tannehill, there's no disputing the fact that Ryan Tannehill should not have gotten in over one of these guys. It's Patrick Mahomes who's his starter, Josh Allen who is having a phenomenal year, absolutely deserves to be here, and Deshaun Watson who, despite his team not playing good, he is still a phenomenal quarterback. I don't think, in my personal opinion, there's much of an argument to say that Tannehill should have been in the Pro Bowl over those three guys. So because of that, I feel like it's right that he didn't get on, and I don't think he was snubbed.
Well, I do agree. I think that the three AFC quarterbacks that did make it were the right ones. But I will say I have been, impressed with Tannehill this year. I had questions about will that, Titans team be in the playoffs again? Will they be good again? And it's looking like they are right now. He's really stepped up, become more of a part of his own offense. And it's a lot of handing it off to Derrick Henry, but he is making some nice throws on his own. He's, doing some stuff himself. So I have noticed that difference between the Titans this year and the Titans last year during their playoff run. So, I think that, Tannehill and the Titans should be happy about, the way their quarterback has improved. But at the end of the day, I do think that the three quarterbacks that made the AFC Pro Bowl were the right three.
Yeah, it's kind of a situation where Tannehill is really good and he's a Pro Bowl-esque player, but the AFC just has too good of quarterbacks right now. I mean, can you tell me that Ryan Tannehill has had a better season than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson? I don't think so. As good as he's been, he's played like a Pro Bowler. You could say he deserves to be there, but based on the talent ahead of him, that's just not the case. I don't think he got snubbed, but he does have Pro Bowl talent. So let's move on to the next name where we'll go open conversation about. This is another one we were talking about before the video. That's tight end from the Packers, Robert Tonyan.
Well, I think that this is definitely one where you look at and you say, okay, there's a clear, reason that this guy should definitely be at least considered to be a snub, because you look at a tight end that did get in, Evan Ingram, he got one touchdown. I think Tonyan had 10. And, I get it, Tonyan, he's a guy, maybe more of a red zone guy, maybe only touchdowns. But, I mean, Evan Ingram's not bad, but I think that Tonyan probably deserved it over Ingram just when you look at the stat lines. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know Evan Ingram's good, and I think he's good. I was high on him, and I think we all liked him. I think he's a top 10 tight end probably, but at the end of the day, it's not just a popularity contest. It's who's putting
The
up
Pro
the
Bowl is
best
a popularity contest.
Well,
the All Pro is a skill.
Well, I really think that at least statistically, Robert Tonyan should be in this game or in the.
There's also other factors that can contribute to why he would make an
Yeah, I got it right here. I got it right here on this article on the NFL app. Tonyan's caught 49 of his 55 targets for 551 yards, 11.2 yards per receptions, 10 touchdowns. While Ingram has 54 receptions on 95 targets for 572 yards, 10.6 per reception, and one score. So just comparing that, I think that at least on paper, it looks like Tonyan did get a snub here.
Yeah, Tonyan did have the better season, and after hearing those stats and watching games and stuff, yes, I do think Tonyan should have been in over Evan Ingram. Now, if we're being completely honest, in the NFC, there's not really any good tight ends. I mean, the number one tight end in the NFC was T.J. Hockenson, who actually had himself a decent year this year, but still not as good, nearly as good, really, as Travis Kelce and Darren Waller in the AFC. So, yes, the second tight end spot could have really gone different ways because there really was not a standout. But Evan Ingram, of course, he didn't have his greatest year. Now, that contributes to factors with the Giants' offense not being good. But Tonyan statistically has had the better year. and I think that is deserving of him possibly getting in. I see why people voted this way. I see it was probably very close. I don't have the numbers pulled up. It was probably very close. But yeah, I do think Tunyon should have had a good shot at getting that second spot in the NFC for tight end position.
Once again, we're all in agreement here. I'm just briefly going to say, I think a lot of times in the Pro Bowl you see, oh, this name, I know this guy. And Evan Ingram had a great rookie year, and ever since then is Evan Ingram going to stand out? And people remember that name, Evan Ingram, and when they're casting their votes, they go, okay, this guy, he was good in the past. That's why you see some guys.
And Tunyon is not a well-known name unless you really are watching football.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you have a fantasy team or something and you're watching games every week, you know who Tunyon is. But if you're just like some random voter who's like, oh yeah, I know NFL players, and you don't study it as much, you might not know Tunyon's name.
Not a household name.
Yeah, and with the skill in the NFC in terms of tight ends, it seemed like he would have beaten out one of two, T.J. Hockenson or Evan Ingram, but I guess not. And I would assume both of them would go because I think it's both of their first Pro Bowl appearances. So it doesn't look like Tunyon will get there, but I could be wrong, and he could already be in the Pro Bowl by the time I'm saying this. So another one I want to mention for me is Calvin Ridley, a wide receiver from the Falcons, in case you didn't know that for some reason. But to me, he was a guy who had so much talent and deserved to be in this game. I'll read the 4 wide receivers that are in the Pro Bowl from the NFC. Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, and Justin Jefferson. Now, to me, Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf have both had great seasons, but to me, Calvin Ridley is right up there with DK Metcalf, and I think playing better than Justin Jefferson was. I think maybe Justin Jefferson doing that gritty and people hearing all about him makes the fans.
Everyone likes Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I like Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson's a great player. I just think, personally, Calvin Ridley has the slight edge over him. There's plenty of time. Justin Jefferson's going to make another Pro Bowl, even if he wasn't to make this one. It feels like that's going to be the case. It feels like Calvin Ridley will make one as well. I just think this year was good enough for him. He made a big impact on that Falcons team and my fantasy team. So Ridley, I think, deserved to get in. Do you guys agree?
I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I like the first 3 with Adams, Hopkins, and Metcalf. I think those 3 are all very deserving with the years that they have put up. But Jefferson and Ridley, I think this is tough. I mean, I think they're both really good players. I think that they both have had impacts, on their teams, and I think that's why we vote for the Pro Bowl. I mean, I think when it's close like that, I think it's cool that the fans actually get to have their say in it, and like go out there and vote, because there's kind of that mentality that you should go out and vote, and the NFL makes it clear that you're in voting now. Vote and let the people know what NFL players deserve to be in the Pro Bowl. So I mean, I don't know. I don't have the statistics all in front of me. I haven't really, watched in-depth tape on these guys, but I think this is a toss-up for me between Ridley and Jefferson as far as who should have been that 4th guy. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm pulling up stats right now for these guys because I want to try to compare it. But as of this second, until I see the stats, I am on the train of the voters got it right for this one. I do think it's very close with Calvin Ridley. He's had a great year, but also so is Justin Jefferson. He's a rookie who has really, really stood out in broadcasts and all this stuff. You watch Justin Jefferson, they're saying this guy does not look like a rookie anymore, and he's really playing well. I have the stats pulled up now, so I haven't really compared them yet. I'm doing it as I'm speaking. Okay, so statistically, Calvin Ridley has had the better season. Yardage, he has 10 more yards than Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley does. And then touchdowns, Ridley has 9 and Justin Jefferson has 7. So they've had pretty equal seasons.
Not all
I'd
statistics.
Say. I wanted to read off the statistics. But I think in the Pro Bowl being the popularity contest, it is Justin Jefferson the more popular guy. I also think that's credit to the Falcons not really getting much media time this year, just because it's not been their year this year.
They get media time just for the wrong reasons.
Well, they did it early, and then they kind of have stopped. But this is tough. I think it's very close. I'm gonna just not give an answer for this one.
All 4 of the guys that got in deserve to be in the Pro Bowl. I just think Calvin Ridley
I'll say they got it right.
Okay.
I say it's very close, but the people have spoke, and I have spoken, as Queel would say.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, do you want to go to your team? I think we just let you talk about
No,
this.
yeah, absolutely.
Because next guy we're going to talk about is Houston Texans linebacker Zach Cunningham. And before you start, I just want to say he's a not really well-known guy.
I wouldn't know him if he wasn't Texans.
It would be tough for even to know his name. But, I mean, watching him against the Bears, he had a good game against us, although we kind of just tore that defense apart.
Probably the only one.
For him, he's been playing like a Pro Bowler, just doesn't have the name to get there yet, and that's simple as it is. And Ryan's going to explain it more. So, Texans fan, take it away.
Yeah, I'm glad we, mentioned this. And what you said about him, that's exactly right. You see, what he has done and what he's, kind of done the past few years. I think he's a guy that's been consistently underrated. I think, among Texans fans, I think he's well appreciated. But as
Is he
far
an
as
inside linebacker?
yes, he's usually an inside linebacker, at least as far as I've seen. And I really like the way he plays. I think he's a guy that, moves around well, always an impact player, kind of one of the guys in that defense that, kind of worked his way up, wasn't really a big name, right away on that defense. But now I think he's absolutely one of the better players on that unit. And in a year where the Texans defense has been really bad, been plagued with injuries and, suspensions, he actually leads the league in tackles with 137. So if you lead the league in such an important statistic like that, and you're on a really bad defense, I think it's hard to leave someone out, especially when they've kind of been consistently playing this well, even if it's kind of under the radar for several years in the same system. I mean, the AFC linebackers that they put in, there's a lot of good ones, but I think that if you lead the league in tackles, especially playing on such a horrible defense, I think that says a lot about the impact that you could have in the way that. Like Tyler said, the fact that he was able to notice that he was playing well in a game where Zach Cunningham's team lost 36-7 says a lot to, Cunningham's ability to, kind of be that guy on the Texans defense. I love watching him. I'm glad he's on my team, and I think he's going to be good for a while, and I hope he stays for a while. But, I mean, apparently, like you said, if he probably just wasn't well known enough as guys like Darius Leonard, Jermaine Edmonds, and I get that, but I do think this guy should be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, Jordan, you got anything you want to throw in at the end there? I know he's not a very well-known guy by a lot of people, but I'm sure
as I said before, I wouldn't know who this guy was unless this guy right next to me was a Texans fan. But he's had a phenomenal season. I don't blame the voters for not knowing who he was because, as I said, I didn't know, and we have this channel where we talk about football, we dive deep into this stuff. Sometimes you still don't know the best players because they just don't get enough media attention.
Yep.
That happened with Zach Cunningham. He's had a phenomenal season, deservingly, of getting into a Pro Bowl. I think his spot was probably taken by Jermaine Edmonds,
Could be.
the other inside linebacker, because Darius Leonard did deserve to get in. So, yes, I think Zach Cunningham did get snubbed.
All right, Ryan, you got to talk about one of your team's player getting snubbed. Now it's time for Jordan and I to do that because he's not even on this snubbed list that we're looking at.
He got snubbed from the snubbed list.
But to me, before you start, Jordan, I came prepared for this.
Yeah,
Roquan Smith, the inside linebacker, specifically the two inside linebackers that got in were Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner. And I'm not going to argue with Fred Warner because he has been a game changer. He's got 62 solo tackles. I mean, the statistics aren't great, but every time you watch a 49ers game, you see the impact he has. He deserved to be there. And with Bobby Wagner, he's a great player as well. He's been doing that for a long time. But to me, Roquan Smith was better. He has 4 sacks to Bobby Wagner's 3, 89 solo tackles to Bobby Wagner's 73, and add on to Roquan Smith having 1 forced fumble this year. He's been dominant. I think he's honestly played at an all-pro level, and I think Bobby Wagner's name once again, being that guy who's been consistently good for so many years, helps him in this scenario. But if we're talking about 2020, I think Roquan Smith's played better. That could be a Bears bias thing. But every time I watch a Bears game, and probably you guys watch Bears games, you can see the impact Roquan Smith has. Sideline to sideline, every single game, makes a big impact. Pro Bowl-esque player, all-pro player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Roquan Smith has had a huge impact on this defense, as Tyler said, especially in that run game, but also making so many tackles on short passes in the flat. And he's just had a really great season. Tackles this year, I think Tyler said it, but 889 solo tackles this year for Roquan Smith. He has just been a beast, finding the running back coming out of the holes and hitting him hard. And I think what we've seen coming towards these last few weeks, at least something I've noticed when watching Bears games, is defenses are running away from Roquan Smith. Whatever side they line up Roquan Smith on, the Bears defense, they run the opposite side. So if they line him up on their left, they'll run it to their right towards Danny Trevathan. If he switches sides, they'll go to the left. So I think defenses are aware of how good Roquan Smith is. He is a huge threat in the run game and is a phenomenal tackler, one of the best, not just on the Bears, but I believe in the league. My favorite player in the Bears, and even though I have Bears bias, just looking at stats and watching him consistently, I do feel like he was snubbed at that position from Bobby Wagner, who's had a great season, and he actually got the most votes. He'd be the starter, technically.
Yeah, well, he's a big name.
He's a big name. That's exactly what I was going to say. He's been a big name. This really hasn't even been his best season as far as I'm aware, but
I mean, he's been with the Legion of Boom. That was when
Yeah.
he was his best.
So
but he's still playing well.
Everyone knows Bobby Wagner. He's a household name. Roquan Smith, not a household name yet, but that's just a situation where I feel like he just is not known. And as I said, he got snubbed from the snub list. That is really just annoying to me as a Bears fan because he has had a phenomenal season. And as Tyler stated, I personally believe he has played at an all-pro level this year. No joke.
All right, let's move on to another guy that really has gone under the radar because of his name. That's a New Orleans Saints defensive end, Trey Hendrickson. He's a guy that this year, every time I watch a Saints game, he begins to become more and more prominent to me. He was a guy at the beginning of the year, which I had not heard very much about. But every time we watch a Saints game, you can see he makes a big tackle. He gets to the backfield, or, I mean, whatever he does, he makes an impact. And you go, Trey Hendrickson, really? Again? And then it's just, the announcers keep saying his name over and over. He has a continuous impact. I mean, let's see who from the NFC made it in at the defensive end position. I didn't look at this. Cam Jordan from the Saints, Brandon Graham, and Chase Young, who is the
that's a very solid list.
So, I mean, it is. These guys are all very good, but Trey Hendrickson, I think even Chase Young has more of a prominent name than Trey Hendrickson does, even though he's a rookie because of what he did at Ohio State. But
he had you had to give it to Chase Young, though. You look at his stats, that's not even an implicant of the season he had because he missed time. He really played well, and he's, as a rookie, the heart and soul of that great Washington defense right now. So shout out to Chase Young. And, of course, as you said, he's been having a good season, too. But I feel like this list, it's pretty good. I haven't been able to watch much of Brandon Graham this year, so that one's a bit questionable to me. I don't know. He's been making plays. So I think this is right. I think it's probably very close. And to be honest, I barely knew who Trey Hendrickson was before this video. So again, it's that situation where you just don't know who they are. And so
when we watch the game on Friday, pay attention to him. You'll hear his name.
Oh yeah.
So there's Trey Hendrickson. It's another situation where you go, where there's just a lot of talent. He deserved to be there, but you just can't put him in front of that other talent. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that same situation with Buccaneers linebacker Devin White now. Because to me, he was a guy I loved even coming out of the draft. Was it 3 years ago now?
He was 2019.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah,
now.
I think.
This is his second year, I believe.
Yeah.
And was he outside or inside linebacker?
This thing doesn't say.
Hold on, I'm going to look in 1 second. So you guys talk about him, and then I'm going to do my research and then give you my spiel about why I should get in.
Well, I'll just say that it kind of comes down to the same thing, just reading this article. Jordan mentioned Bobby Wagner. Does he deserve to get in? It's kind of the same thing you say maybe should Devin White be in ahead of, Bobby Wagner. It says, just comparing their stats, they have nearly the same amount of tackles, but White has also recorded a whopping 8 sacks, while Wagner only has 3. White has a slight edge in QB hits over Wagner, 13-11, but Wagner has twice as many passes defense. So again, it's kind of a thing where some guys, one guy has, better this, one guy has better this. But I really think that Devin White has been playing well. I mean, this is another one where it's really close because I think Devin White's been playing well, and that Buccaneers defense, while it's been inconsistent, I think he's a guy that I too liked him coming out of the draft. I think he's had a nice start to his young career. So I think there's definitely the argument to put Devin White in, but, as far as for me to make an official, verdict on what I think I'd have to watch more tape. But I think this is definitely at least a very interesting argument to look at.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to Bobby Wagner, who I say it again, got the number 1 spot at the inside linebacker position over Fred Warner, who's just had a phenomenal year. I think that should definitely be flip-flopped, even if they're both able to stay. And again, I don't want to hate on Bobby Wagner because I should really pull up his stats and look at it. But Kelly, you read him off earlier when you were comparing him to Roquan Smith, right? So you heard it already. I'm not going to do that. Never mind. But absolutely, he's had a great season. Devin White has. He is, as I was talking about with Roquan Smith, a young stud on that Tampa Bay defense, and he's done really great. And it's just been it's how the Pro Bowl goes sometimes. So it's the same argument with Roquan Smith to put in Devin White. Look, it's not always easy to get everyone you want to get in. There's going to be people who miss. There's going to be people who are more popular. That's just how the thing goes. But you have to sit there and deal with it. And all you can do is go out and pass your ballot.
Yeah. Well, talking about Devin White now, it's very similar to Roquan Smith. Statistically, Roquan has 2 more tackles. They both have 1 forced fumble. What got me was 8 sacks from Devin White. I didn't know he had 8 sacks this year.
I think they blitz him a lot, though.
Yeah, I mean, they do. It just says linebacker, so I'm assuming he switches from inside and outside occasionally.
I don't think he's ever on, though.
I mean, they could line him up in different spots. I need to go back and watch the Buccaneers defense, but I know they got creative things going down there with Todd Bowles and that defense. So it wouldn't tell me if it was inside or outside, but I'm assuming he's more of an inside linebacker. So it'd be those guys that we talked about. There's just a lot of talent, and he's one of those guys where just didn't get in, but in the future, I'd expect to see him get that Pro Bowl nod. So, I mean, we've gotten down to the ones we want to talk to most.
Also, one more note. We're making this video in advance, so if there are names that get into it, then that's because they were not originally in it. But with people wanting to drop out and not be in it, which I don't see why they would do it this year because they're not playing. But if that were to happen, then if one of these guys gets in, that's why.
Yeah, and I'm just going to read off a couple more names. We don't have to go talk about them extensively because we talked about some guys that we thought the most should have gotten in extensively. But Wyatt Teller from the Browns, who really is not a big name at all, but if you look at what he's done this season, it's been very good. James Robinson, the rookie, a lot of people have heard of him because he's been one of the best rookies this year, one of the better running backs this year as well. Gwyneth Williams, which has been a nice surprise to see after his rough rookie year. I think he has 8 sacks this year. I could actually go look that up in a second. It's something around there, but he's been playing well. Shaq Barrett has been a guy who's been dominant. Another Buccaneers guy who's deserved to get on here. Robbie Anderson, Jesse Bates, Brian Burns has played well. Justin Herbert at the quarterback position. I mean, you can't say he's been better, but he's been good enough. You can't say he's better than those
quarterbacks. I don't think.
I mean, it's the same thing with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
J.C. Jackson should have gotten into the Pro Bowl.
Absolutely.
That's the one where he's just been so
that.
good. It doesn't make any sense how he doesn't.
Put it another way.
I mean, it's not like he was
got in over. Or these guys got in over him. Xavier Howard, Tre'Davious White, Marlon Humphrey, Stephon Gilmore, who J.C. Jackson had a better year than Stephon Gilmore this year. And so I think he replaces Gilmore in that spot just because he's played better. And, of course, Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year last year. That's why people know him. That's why he's in. But J.C. Jackson has had a sneaky, real good season.
Yep.
Yeah, and Xavier Howard and Tre'Davious White and Marlon Humphrey.
Even Tre'Davious White didn't have his greatest season this
Yeah,
season.
but
doing good, but not
as good as
they're
last
deserving. And you look at Stephon Gilmore's Defensive Player of the Year last year. I gotta vote for him. But really, J.C. Jackson's been better. So those are some of the guys we wanted to talk about. Yes, there are some we even left off our snub list. We apologize for that. Let us know who
if your player got snubbed from our snub video, then tell us in the comments who got snubbed.
Exactly, and explain to us why. And I'm sure we'll probably apologize if we didn't put him in the video, or maybe we won't. Yeah. But make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, comment your opinions down below. As we mentioned, check out our podcast and our Instagram. And with all that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.